So, colleagues, I declare open the award ceremony of the Václav Havel Human Rights Prize. Before inviting you to watch a short video on the prize, I should like to welcome our three shortlisted nominees. We are living through unusual times, and due to the ongoing crisis, this is going to be the first, and we sincerely hope the only time, this ceremony takes place online. However, I'm very happy that the nominees can join us remotely and connect with those of us in Strasbourg and fellow colleagues, parliamentarians in the 47 member states who have opted to attend remotely. For us to be able to see the nominees, I will invite them now to push the button request to speak so that they can appear on the screen. Please request for the floor. Despina, if you can see how we can do this. We have, voila, 1, 2. Please request for the floor. Okay, let's hope that it all works. Madame Loujain, oops, voila. So now we have still a third one that we need to welcome. Where are the third one? So we're trying to get this connection done because this time we're like quite far away in some instances in order to get everyone on board. Est-ce que je pourrais, can I ask to the Drugba ordinance to refresh and ask for the floor again, because apparently there's a hiccup here. So, dear Drugbanans, if you can refresh and request the floor again.
We have time.
Seems to be the case. Voila. They're coming. Voila. Welcome to all of you, and obviously we have the sister of one of the nominees. Very glad to have you all on board, which allows me now to invite all of us present here and remotely, also as our three nominees, to watch the video. Please start the video.
The 10th of May 1990, the President of the Czech and Slovak Federal Republic entered the Assembly chamber of the Council of Europe. It was an emotional Parliamentary Assembly that welcomed the former political dissident, the figurehead of the Velvet Revolution, who in 1989 brought an end to the communist regime. In his welcoming address, the Assembly President paid tribute to the courage of one of the key figures of the opposition in the Czechoslovak Socialist Republic.
And you, Mr. President, are a symbol of the victory of freedom over totalitarianism.
In his speech, the philosopher president, an atypical politician, spoke of his years of opposition when dreams took the place of hope.
Everything seems to point to the fact that we should not be afraid of dreaming of what seems impossible if we want something impossible to become a fact and a reality. Without dreaming of a better Europe, we shall never be able to build it.
Following the invasion of Czechoslovakia in 1968, which marked the end of the liberalization process of the Prague Spring, Václav Havel remained faithful to his convictions. As chairperson of the Circle of Independent Writers, his commitment led to the banning of his plays. The international community quickly became aware of this dissident. In 1977, Václav Havel co-founded Charter 77, an organization defending human rights in Czechoslovakia. Because of his activities, he was imprisoned on 3 occasions for almost 5 years. In 1989, the crowd spontaneously placed Václav Havel at the head of the Civic Forum, an association uniting opposition movements. He became a key figure in the Velvet Revolution. Almost a quarter of a century later, in March 2013, the prize was launched in Prague to honour what Václav Havel was and what he did. Since then, the prize is awarded each year by the Council of Europe Parliamentary Assembly in partnership with the Václav Havel Library and the Charter 77 Foundation to reward outstanding civil society action in the defence of human rights. For the 8th edition of the prize, the 3 candidates shortlisted are Loujain Alhathloul, a prominent women's rights activist known for defying the ban on women driving in Saudi Arabia and for opposing the Saudi male guardianship system. The Nuns of the Drukpa Order, a group of young Buddhist nuns promoting gender equality, environmental sustainability, and intercultural tolerance in their home villages in the Himalayas. They are known for their delivery of supplies after an earthquake struck Kathmandu in 2015. And Julien Lusenge, a Congolese human rights activist, who has been documenting sexual abuse and acts of violence against women in Congo. She was instrumental in obtaining convictions of perpetrators who enlisted child soldiers and collected evidence of sexual slavery. In 1990, Mr. Havel spoke in Strasbourg of the immense strength embodied by the ideals of the Council of Europe. Referring to the organization's emblem, he said that for him the 12 stars did not express the idea that the Council of Europe would succeed in building a heaven on earth, as there would never be a heaven on earth.
But, in my opinion, these 12 stars are a reminder that the world can become a better place if we have the courage to raise our eyes to the stars. And I thank
the Václav Havel Human Rights Prize pays tribute to this distinguished European. And it also pays tribute to all those who, through their determined and tireless work, bring us closer to the ideal of a better world.
Quite impressive video. Dear colleagues, dear nominees, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 8th edition of the award ceremony of the Václav Havel Human Rights Prize. I would like to thank our partners, the Václav Havel Library and the Charter 77 Foundation, for their cooperation and their incredible work and commitment to preserve the legacy and the values embodied by Mr. Havel, justice and human rights. His courage to fight for them, even in the most adverse times, when standing up for what is right, came with a heavy price to personal safety and well-being. I would also like to thank the members of the selection panel, whose work is underpinned by passion, commitment and conviction. They went through each and every single nomination for very inspiring organizations and individuals that are determined to fight for the enjoyment of fundamental human rights and freedoms by each and every one of us. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has just entered its 2nd year, leaving behind a heavy toll on human lives and the social, economic and cultural lives of our societies, and laying ahead a very uncertain future imbued with daunting challenges. We all have suffered and continue to face formidable challenges in getting about our daily life and businesses. The mic has gone. Yep, here we go again. As I said, dear colleagues, we all have suffered and continue to face formidable challenges in getting about our daily life and business. But it is women across the world that are bearing most of the heavy burden of COVID-19. And that is not only in terms of job losses or being in the front lines where we fight the battles against COVID, the health services carrying the heavy burden of caring for children, the elderly, the family, all while keeping up with professional commitments. And for the millions of people across the globe who live in conflict zones and refugee camps, the situation is even more despairing. The impact of COVID-19 has hit harder women and has further exposed them to the dangers of violence, sexual exploitation and abuse. We can say without doubt that this crisis has further exacerbated persistent discrimination against women and has seen an alarming rise in acts of violence against women all over the world. I therefore see the nomination of Madame Loujain, Mrs. Alhathloul and the nuns of the Drogba Order a fitting tribute to women's struggle against persistent discrimination and the right to enjoy a life free from violence. Václav Havel continues to inspire us to dream big. As he said, we should not be afraid of dreaming of what seems impossible. If we want something impossible to become a fact of reality, he said in this chamber, and you heard it, he said, the world will become a better place if we have the courage to raise our eyes to the stars. And our nominees have the courage, they have the passion, they have the energy and the determination to dream big and fight for their dreams for a better and equal world. One where women are treated with dignity and respect, where they are given the same chances as regards to education and employment, the same opportunities to contribute to society, a society in which they can thrive and prosper. Free from prejudice, misogyny, stereotypes and violence in all its many forms. Physical violence, sexual violence, including rape and other sexual violence, female genital mutilation, forced marriage, forced pregnancy, forced abortion or forced sterilization, or psychological and economic violence. With this prize, we honour their contribution to equality and justice, to solidarity, to upholding and strengthening human rights and women's rights. Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. That's a quote from former Secretary of State Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, hard-earned rights are under threat, including in the Council of Europe member states. Efforts to undermine and weaken the protection system against violence against women granted by the Council of Europe legal status, amongst others and in particular through the Istanbul Convention on Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence, are worrying developments and call for leadership, they call for political courage and firm action to uphold women's human rights. As shown by our shortlisted nominees, who I have the pleasure to present in alphabetical order: Ms. Loujain Alhathloul, Saudi Arabia, the nuns of the Drogba Order, Kung Fu nuns, and Madame Julienne Lusange, Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, choosing was not an easy job, for they, in my humble opinion, all deserve this recognition. The shortlisted nominees have shown courage and determination. They are an inspiration for all of us and a shining example for all the women and girls out there. So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to announce to whom the prize is awarded. Ladies and gentlemen, the Václav Havel Human Rights Prize 2020 is awarded to Loujain Alhathloul. But I would not want to do this without showing the other ones. May I give the floor to the sister, if I get it right, of Madame Alhathloul. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. So first of all, I just want to say that I deeply respect the Kung Fu nuns and Julienne Lassange's work. And now I will go with my speech. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lina, and I'm speaking today on behalf of my whole family, as Loujain cannot be present to thank you herself. Loujain cannot be present because although she has been released from prison, she's still silenced inside of the country. My sister Loujain spent 1,001 days in prison. Her crime? Fighting for women's rights in Saudi Arabia. Loujain sacrificed herself to fight for a better life for Saudi women. She campaigned for our right to drive, to protect abused women, and to end the male guardianship system. Because of her activism, Loujain was kidnapped, deprived of finishing her studies, illegally imprisoned, brutally tortured, put in solitary confinement for months, and now sentenced as a terrorist. For years now, the Saudi regime has been trying to tarnish her image, to erase any support, and to make her forgotten. But the more time passes, the more Loujain proves to the world how incredibly brave, resilient, and attached to her values she is. She has now become a symbol of human rights defenders in Saudi Arabia. A symbol because there are thousands of detainees going through what she has been through. But silence has become the norm in our country. A police state that will even put families of detainees under a travel ban and force them into silence. Thankfully, some of us are out of the country and free to speak, free to become Loujain's silence voice. But our voice alone is not enough. The world needs to recognize her sacrifices and to know who Loujain is. We would therefore like to thank the Václav Havel Awards Committee for choosing Loujain this year. International support is the only way we can expose injustices and protect the victims. We are truly honored by your support. Thank you for giving us strength to continue the fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these words, and above all for the courage of your sister and her commitment in defending the cause of human rights and women's rights. So thank you very much for having delivered these kind words, important words on behalf of your sister Loujain. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you for having joined. Dear colleagues, now I conclude the ceremony. I was very happy to have all of the three of you on screen. Congratulations, obviously, to Loujain, who has been awarded the Václav Havel Prize, but as I said in the beginning, you all deserve it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our ceremony. We will reconvene at 4 o'clock with the President of Moldova. And really, I hope to see all of you in situ after COVID, be it in Saudi Arabia, in Congo, or with the Kung Fu nuns. I would be very, very glad to be able to meet you in person. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for all the work you're doing.